Hello everybody, welcome back to my new video. Today I'm gonna do a 200 subscriber special since I recently gained 200 subscribers on my channel. I want to thank you all very much for that. And in today's special I'm gonna show you the collection what you have so far. Well, I'm gonna start with this big Philips SRS with 125 watts low pressure sodium bulb. As you can see, here's the ballast and the gear and stuff. It's in the back fixture. This fixture also exists with 180 watts or 131, and that's about the lamp is just in the full ball from here to the top. And here we have the Philips big SRM. It's kind of the same size. This one has two 55 watts low pressure sodium bulbs. Also exists with two 90 watts, 135 and 180 watts. And here we have some fuse boxes for lamppost. I use these boxes, especially this one, to test the fixtures. Here's a very small box, and you usually use these to combine them with these two fuse boxes. So if they need three, they can combine this, and they have like 3 phases. And then here we have one PRL or XRL, whatever it's called, with two TLS bulbs. Well, it's missing its bulbs, but there's another one right over here which has bulbs, but we'll come to that later. Here we have the Philips Traffic Vision, and it's still brand new, and it's one of my favorite hypersonic fixtures. It's a pretty good design. Here we have the Philips Gen 3 Iridium LED. Here we have two new circle round shaped fluorescent tubes used for these HPP fixtures. Over here we have a very interesting AG comfort fixture. It doesn't have a bulb. We still need to get a new bulb, but this one is with low pressure sodium, 35 watts. Pretty unusual because they usually don't exist with high pressure sodium as this one does. Here we have an XGS 103 with low pressure sodium, 26 watts. So this is 70 watts high pressure sodium, by the way. So is this one. Here you have the low pressure sodium 55 watt collection, and also the 36 watt collection. This is the one with a green socket, kind of interesting bulb. And these are the 36 watts, which are also pretty nice to have. I currently don't have really a fixture for 36 watt bulbs, since I recently gave my Iris fixture away. I had that bulb, but it wasn't really an interesting fixture for me. Here we have the CDO-TT and the SON-T hyper sodium and the metal halide bulbs, also 70 and 50 watts. Here we have some mercury vapor and some other hypersonium bulbs. This isn't a clear hypersonium bulb, it's actually a regular hypersonium bulb like this one, but yeah, it kind of exploded, and now the coating of the bulb is just gone. This is an Osram HQL mercury vapor bulb. Here's an old capacitor from one of these HPP fixtures. I always take this out because, well, they usually start leaking, and that's just very bad for the lamp. Here is a 35 watt lamp, PSG with blue socket. It's broken unfortunately, but it still serves a purpose as a kind of a show here, I guess. And here we have the brand new mercury vapor HGS 201 fixture with mercury vapor 125 watts, but it can also contain 80 watts. Here we have all the PLL fluorescent bulbs, 36 and 24 watts. Here are some more high pressure sodium, mercury vapor and halide bulbs. Very interesting, very small lamps. They do exist in smaller sizes, believe it or not. Here we have this very interesting MLR bulb. It's kind of it's some sort of an actually you can see this is some it's just a regular sort of floodlight light bulb. But that's some sort of mercury vapor bulb or something like that inside. Mercury vapor coil or whatever it's called. You can kind of see it with your camera. Here we have random PLS and small T5 bulbs, which got the smallest versions of tail, small sizes. Here we have some ballast, and this is actually the same fuse box as this one, but without the ball and stuff. That's all gone for some reason. And I also used this for kind of test fixtures, but I don't really like using this one since it's very dangerous, because this is all it's all electricity on this thing when you turn it on, and that's actually very dangerous. So I'm not really like using that. I don't really like using that. And here we of course have the other TRL, 2 times 20 watt TLS. Here we have the SRX or XRL with 1 time 55 low per sodium. Can also contain 35 watt low per sodium. It's a very clear bowl, pretty interesting. Here we have 2 XGS 201 fixtures with low per sodium 18 watts. It's a very interesting bulb for this fixture, because you don't really see these bulbs in these fixtures a lot. Usually the XGS fixtures is like this one over here with the 35 watts, and it has a very different reflector. This reflector is commonly used for the high per sodium bulbs, but also used for the low per sodium bulbs if they're 18 watts. And this one is particularly special because the socket is on the other side of the fixture, and the reflector is shaped differently, which is very interesting. You don't really see that a lot. Also the balls of these fixtures are very clear. It's also very interesting because these fixtures usually get quite yellow, except if it's 18 watts low per sodium, then they usually still have a very clear ball, which is interesting. They're usually found in the kind of forests or something, like those dark walk paths or something, I'm not sure. Here is the XPP, Philips XPP10 and the HPP10. This one has this difference between these two is that this one contains one of these circle-line fluorescent tubes, and this one has like this XTS and 18 watt low per sodium bulb. Here we have a brand new 66 watt low per sodium bulb. Here we have some more low per sodium bulbs, 66 and 90 watts. Here we have the ME fixture. It's actually a metal version of the FGS or the XGS, but with a spindle. Here we have some Son 400 watt bulbs, which are quite big. We also have this Viking Vision and this very rare Sora fixture, which is a low per sodium fixture, which are quite rare nowadays. Now we can continue with these. This is Schillig Ultra and this Iris. They both have kind of uncommon lamps. They both have low per sodium, which is not very usual for these fixtures. They usually have these PLL 55 watts, depends on the size of the fixture. Especially the Ultra, low per sodium and Ultra is very rare, so it's kind of weird. I was kind of happy when I found this one at work. This one is more common with low per sodium, but also not very much. This is the ZZDAC 86806 fixture with 3 times 20 watt TL bulbs, fluorescent tubes, which is also kind of a little bit rare, but not that rare. They are quite fragile, so I prefer not touching them a lot if possible. Here we have the newer version and the older version of the XES 201. These contain 25 watts. And these are the old version and new version of the XES 203 with also low per sodium 35 watts. Here we have this Indal Arc with high per sodium 70 watts. Here we have this Nicole fixture, which has 2200K LED, which actually is the same, reflects the same light as an high per sodium bulb, which is pretty cool. This is an FGS with PLL 36 watts. FGS 103 4. Sorry, I also have a low per sodium bulb for this. Unit for this, but it's upstairs. We also have this 86825 fixture, which is also kind of an old fixture, very fragile. You can see the balls already starting to break apart a little bit. Also 2 times 20 watt TLS. Here's the smaller version of the Ultra 36 watt PLL fluorescent tube, and this is the Philips HRL. I think it's supposed to have a mercury vapor bulb of 125 watts, but it doesn't really have a unit. so it's kind of empty. You have the Philips Xenium with 35 watts, it's the middle size. Philips Gen 4 LED fixture, actually the best LED fixture in my opinion. You have the smaller version and the older version of the Iridium, with CPO TV 60 watts. Interesting bulb. Over there is another Rhesidium, but the bigger size, also low pressure sodium. And behind that is my snowshoe fixture, which is also very old and very rare. As you can see, it's an open. I can't really see it good from here, but it's an open fixture. It doesn't have a ball or anything. It's also very old. Next to that, we have a box of old fixtures I'm throwing away. Well, it's not really that interesting though. This is an Axia, an MC2, some hybrid bulbs. There's a Industria 2000, also known as Cable, also with low pressure sodium, 18 watts. Here we have the Philips HRP 10, which has mercury vapor 80 watts. Here's the small version of the SRS with 66 watts, low pressure sodium. Behind that is the middle size SRS with 90 watts, low pressure sodium. It's kind of hard to see from here. Both are brand new. Here's the Philips HPX 178, which is an interesting mercury vapor fixture. It can also contain high pressure sodium bulbs from 50 to 70 watts. Here's the Philips CPS with ridges in the bowl, which is my favorite version. The CPS also very bright bowl, which is also not very common for these fixtures since they usually get very yellow. As you can see, there's also a low pressure sodium bulb of 18 watts inside, which is it's just the same as this fixture, and many more in the collection. We have this Philips HPP 113, also known as Bolo. It can contain high pressure sodium bulbs and mercury vapor bulbs. Besides that, I think I've done it. Oh, there's still one more fixture, one of my favorite fixtures. Brand new Philips XGS with 201 with two low pressure sodium bulbs with 35 watts. And this fixture is not very rare in this city, like we have these a lot, but with high pressure sodium 150 watts or 250 watts. Those are very common, but not with two low pressure sodium bulbs, so it's also a little rare. One of the pearls in my collection. And there's an old fluorescent tube with a copper socket and a reflector inside, so that's also a little bit rare tube. It's going to another collector, Mac Lamps, subscribe to him. And well, I think that was most of the fixtures in my collection. So now I'm going to do a little startup of few fixtures, and I hope you'll like it. So these are three of my, I think, oldest fluorescent fixtures. So kind of wanted to end the video with this. I also forgot to mention that I also have a Philips SRL behind here with 91 watts low pressure sodium, and then Philips SRM with 91 watts low pressure sodium upstairs. I also have a Scheda GSO in my room, but I'll show you after this clip. But first, I'm not even sure how this left bulb here still works. It's pretty old. Take the bulb off, it's very fragile, so have to be careful. Here's a reflector bulb, T20. Here's another bulb, and this one is far from good. I mean, it's about to die, I think. So yeah, three different bulbs. These two have the same color, but this is a reflector bulb and this is not. So yeah, then I'm not even going to open this thing because it literally will fall apart. So it has two different light colors, as you can see. Pretty interesting. And yeah, well, this is where I'll probably I'll still show the fixtures upstairs. So a few more fixtures to the collection. We have this Philips, Scheda GSO with originally I think low pressure sodium 180 watts perhaps. I'm not sure now. This 131 watts low pressure sodium bulb. Here's an Industria 2500 with two 18 watts fluorescent tubes. Up there is an SRM with 1 times 55 watts of sodium. There's another SRM ball. It belongs to this fixture actually, but it now has the SRK ball on, also with 91 watts low per sodium. We have an Industria post-op fixture. I quite forgot the name of it. And here, one of my favorite mercury vapor fixtures, HPP10 with mercury vapor 125 watts or 80 watts. And here we have some traffic lights, of course. Here are some fixtures I put on the ceiling. There used to be curtains here, but they were removed, so I thought it would be nice to make some sort of lamp construction here. Well, I think that was about it. I hope you all enjoyed this video. Thank you for the 200 subscribers, and I'll see you in the next one.